Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports.
What's going on, everyone?
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, so we have a new layout for fantasy football moving forward. We will no longer be going game by game. We're going to start with players of the week, go through notable injuries, then bust of the week, trade candidates, sell highs, and then must grab waiver wire ads.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, players of the week, we got to talk about the quarterbacks. Sam Darnold finishes the number one QB, or number two, right next to Mahomes, and people still don't own this guy.
Yeah, he is available, and it's crazy because we've been talking about him. This is probably like the third week we've been talking about Darnold now.
Yeah,
He,
if not, yeah, no, probably the third, maybe even the fourth. Though we were talking about him a while, and if you've been listening, you probably grabbed him, but that's not affecting the percentage of grabs, obviously, with the amount of listeners we're getting to start. But he's a must grab, and even the main podcasts of fantasy football are talking about him at this point, and I just don't understand how he's not 80% rostered at least. So
yeah, he should be owned. If
I'm
he's
not.
available in your league, go pick him up. Drop whoever
Mm,
your backup is right now and pick him
hmm
up.
I'm not banking on he's gonna finish top five, but top ten's definitely in the books, or could be now
It
in the
definitely could
books.
be. He should
And
not
Patrick
be on
Mahomes
waivers.
should not be. Patrick Mahomes back to form, going off. Him and Tyreek Hill. That was a crazy, crazy week. So nothing
Yeah.
much to say there. Though we already knew that about Mahomes. It's just more news when he's bad.
It was just good to see him have kind of a big bounce back after a couple weeks of struggling a little bit.
mm-hmm. Then Jalen Hurts finished 28.18. I'm tired of playing this game with basically all these other big fantasy football platforms are saying, oh, you could still bench him. They're trying to play matchups, but he might be a must start from now on with the running, you know?
Yeah, we were kind of saying that at the beginning of the season. He he's definitely a guy that you can start every week just because of the extra stats that he can give you.
And just because of his legs, he could finish better than Darnold
Yeah.
because he's got two options here. And I mean, he's doing better than Lamar Jackson right now in fantasy. So we'll see. We'll see how he finishes. But every week, everyone's like, oh, you could probably sit him, but he keeps going off.
Yeah. And he's doing it against
Taylor,
every team.
yep. Taylor Heineke, 27.9 fantasy points. We were still a little bit down on him, but I feel like now he's also another must grab. I mean, we did talk about him as a backup QB, but he was like fourth in our rankings for a grab of QBs.
Yeah, he's really turned himself into like a must start every week, like a guy you can consider to start every week. Whether he's your backup or on waivers, I think he's a comfortable. I think he's a comfortable
Mm-hmm.
ad, and he could definitely be a very nice second quarterback on any team.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott, 27.02 fantasy points.
Yep.
I mean, look out the rest of the way. Even when one of his wide receivers isn't having a good game, he still goes off. So,
Yeah, and he's starting to. One thing everybody was wondering about with Dak was that if he was going to run still, because that was always a
mm-hmm.
nice little part to his game, just an added bonus. And he had a decent amount of rushing yards yesterday, and that ankle looks fully healthy. He doesn't look like he lost much speed, if at all.
Yeah, will he finish top five?
I think he definitely has the potential to do that. That team
For
looks
sure.
very good so far this season.
I agree, and we'll talk more about their defense later. So, running backs, your number one is Cordero Patterson. This guy has been going off for a couple weeks now. He was one of our steal grabs 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and now he might. The rankings haven't fully come out yet, but I think he could be the number two or three running back on the year for fantasy,
Yeah, that's insane.
which is insane.
No one saw that coming.
No, and as
But
long as he can stay healthy, he's
they're
just
just they're using him they're not afraid to use him, and he's
Yep,
in a system that is actually catering to his like strengths, and he's showing what kind of player he can be on a team that
definitely.
values what he can do.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about him later in the episode. Saquon Barkley, 27.1 fantasy points. Is he
Saquon's
back?
back. Saquon's back, baby.
Yeah, thank God. I was a little worried. First half, he didn't do much for me. Um, and I was thinking, oh man, he's going to be an up and down running back from now on. But he caught two passes in the end zone, so
Yeah,
looking good. There's
he's looking very good.
Derrick Henry. We don't even have to go into him. 24.7. He's the number one running back.
Yeah, I was hoping for 25, but that's okay.
If people weren't, I mean, he was my number one target in the draft. If people were still grabbing White Boy over him, I mean, that's just a mistake because he doesn't get hurt, you know?
Yeah, McCaffrey's starting to show that he hasn't. Like, he's very injury prone now. Like this is multiple seasons now where you don't know when he's gonna play for you.
Yep. David Montgomery, 22.6 fantasy points before he went out. He might have finished the day as the number two running back of the week if he kept playing because he was going off.
Possibly number one.
Possibly, yeah. It was early third quarter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was early in the third quarter, and he already
So
had
he had
over
a whole
100 yards.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then we'll close it out with Ezekiel Elliott and James Robinson. Zeke is back. If you drafted him, fourth pick, you got to be happy because week one and week two is starting to look a little scary. But
yeah,
he's back, and James Robinson's back too.
James Robinson's back. But all five of these guys are must. I think.
Six.
Well, I think five of them at least are must starts. I still got to see can Cordell Patterson
Mm-hmm.
keep this up, but I think at this point
Well,
you gotta put a waiver claim in on him because he's just going off.
yeah, he's still available. A lot of people did grab him for this week, but he is still available in some leagues. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, like we were saying with Mahomes, 42.1 fantasy points. I
Had a
mean,
had a decent day.
yeah, he was the wide receiver one in the draft for a reason.
Yeah.
Right next to Devonte Adams, I would have still taken Hill all day, but
Hmm.
I wasn't actually in one of those positions.
Mm-hmm.
He's just amazing, and I think he's going to keep this not 42 going forward, but he's going to keep the pace going.
Yeah, definitely agree.
And Debo Samuel continues his breakout, 31.7 fantasy points. I mean,
Yeah,
he's insane. If you had one of these top two receivers, you probably won your week as long as the rest of your team wasn't trash.
yeah. Debo
Just kidding.
Samuel. We were talking about him that he could be a breakout candidate for this season, and so far, he definitely is now in that conversation where we're like, okay, he could be he's a top five receiver. Like he's starting to do
Mm-hmm.
this stuff every week.
Yeah, man. And then DJ Moore also continues his torrid start. I was listening to some of the other fantasy guys today, and I kind of agree that he could finish top three, man, at this rate.
He could. He's got such a good connection going right now with Sam Darnold. Those two are like locked in.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't really see it stopping. He's got the athletic ability. And then right behind him, Terry McLaurin. I mean, he's been talked about for a couple weeks or a couple years even, but
Yeah.
now it looks like the true breakout year.
And who would have thought it would come from Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, man, that guy's playing his heart out.
Yeah.
And following him, Randall Cobb, 21.4, finally had his first big game back with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure that he's going to do this every week. Just at his age, I'd
Mm-hmm.
still. But if you are in a situation where you started him, which I don't think a lot of people were, I mean, good for you. you got nice production from him this week.
Yeah, hopefully you played him. I mean, based on his previous production, you might have had him on your bench, but he could be used more moving forward. And
Yeah.
then Deontay Johnson comes back, has an amazing game for the Steelers, even with the rough QB play. So he's the number one target for Big Ben.
Hmm.
And this is kind of where I drafted him and where I was able to get him because you can kind of expect this 20-point kind of fantasy performance. He's not going to give you Tyreek Hill or Debo Samuel numbers with those crazy numbers from the QB as well, but he could do this every week.
Yeah, he could. It's I think more the question is how's Ben gonna be every week, and I think that's something you still got to worry about a little bit
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
because when Ben goes, Johnson goes, but it's not a every week thing like it used to be maybe a couple years ago with Big Ben just performing great every single week. He's starting to show his
Hmm.
age just a little bit.
Yeah, man. And then tight end. Whoever picked this guy in like a daily fantasy format on Thursday night made some money. CJ Uzoma. Hopefully I said that correctly. 24 fantasy points. Is this a guy you would grab?
And I think so. I mean, because tight ends they're kind of hard to come by. If you don't have one of the top five ones.
Yeah, and Cincinnati coming to form.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy's showing some consistency with Joe Burrow now, I think he's definitely a must add.
Definitely, man. And then Dawson Knox. He was a grab or a question mark grab for a lot of people after last week. You thought maybe he's still a fluke,
Hmm.
but he's proving that he's here to stay in this high-powered offense.
Yeah, I did pick him up last week just because in one of the leagues, in the league that I picked him up, I'm in desperate need of tight ends. My starter is Dallas Goddard, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have a good backup. So I picked up Dawson Knox as my second tight end, and too bad I didn't start him.
Yeah, power
But
move.
yeah, I just picked him up just because I was in dire need of it, and I'm glad I kind of got him a week before everybody's going to want him now.
Yeah, he will be 80% owned, I bet.
Yeah,
And then Mo Alley Cox, he kind of did this last year. He had a huge game. It's great to see, the talent's there for him. There's a couple other tight ends there though, so just a good week from him. I don't know if we're grabbing him yet.
yeah. I don't know if he's as big a grab as maybe Zoma and Dawson Knox.
And then following him, Max Williams on Arizona.
I kind of like him as a pickup for this week because the tight end that is starting to show some consistency on that offense. I think that he is definitely a guy that should be picked up.
Oh yeah, and we'll get more into it later, but you could probably get him for free without a waiver. Dalton Schultz followed up his great week from last week. Also had another good week. I
Another
think he's here
guy,
to stay.
I believe so.
I did grab him last week, in a 12-team league just to see how it went, and I'm pleasantly surprised and happy. I mean,
Yeah,
now I got a potential trade piece or so, and I can start. So,
exactly. That's great.
all right, those are our breakouts
Yeah,
for week 4.
let us know if you agree with our assessments.
Yeah, notable injuries from this week. David Montgomery, unfortunately, it came out earlier today that they don't believe he tore his ACL, but they're still
Yeah,
waiting further test results.
I'm hearing rumblings that it's a strained MCL, and that's usually about 3 to 4 weeks.
I mean, at this point, that's best case scenario
Yeah. Well,
for what could have been.
I was hoping muscle tear yesterday, just so that it
Oh,
could be
really?
maybe back next week. But I don't think it's a muscle injury.
All right. And then Joe Mixon, day to day with a low grade ankle sprain. At first, they said week to week, but now they corrected it and said he's more day to day than week to week.
Well, that's a kind of a big change. So that can't.
Yeah, and Cincinnati's kind of rough with getting information from them. So take that with a grain of salt because last year Joe Mixon, they were playing this game with him as well, saying he was week to week, and then it turned into like 8 weeks. I mean, I'd have
Yeah,
to look up the exact amount of weeks, but they kept saying week to week, and everybody is thinking, oh, that's 2-3 weeks. So we'll see where that one goes. Their backups, I went and looked at their backups. I don't know who's gonna for sure take it over. It might be committee.
yeah. So it's kind of fading the rest of the Cincinnati running backs for now until we know
Yeah.
about Mixon.
And then DK Metcalf, they said foot injury. I mean, this just came out today at practice. So I think they're resting him. They're trying to make sure before the Thursday night game. So that's something to pay attention to, though. It's kind of important just because it's the next game's coming up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big worry, especially if that's most likely your number one receiver if you drafted him. Amari Cooper's banged up and limited at practice. So we'll also kind of wait to see more information on him, but that's a little worrisome. Jimmy G calf issue. He said it was him. He said he got it in the first drive and then played through it for the rest of the first half, and it just got worse. But then after the game, it sounds like he's gonna miss some time just from his own mouth. So might be the backup's time.
Dang.
But we'll see. We'll kind of wait to hear more on that one. But he didn't sound too positive. A lot of QBs will come out and say, "Oh, I'll be back soon." But
It just there's a new update saying that he has been officially diagnosed with a calf contusion, and the 49ers are going to
okay,
evaluate him again Wednesday.
for sure.
We'll see. We just got to keep monitoring that situation.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is in concussion protocol. And this is a team that really needs him rest of the way if they're going to do anything. So, another one to monitor, but I'm sure he can miss at least 1 week.
Yeah. Geez, those concussions. That's some serious stuff.
William Fuller messed up his finger. He hasn't done anything yet this year. I mean, you were fading him even in the draft, episode. So
Yeah, I kind of was.
at this point, I mean, we could talk about him later, but he's a drop. I mean, because the offense is so bad.
Yeah, I think that he's a good drop.
Logan Thomas, the tight end in Washington, had a hamstring injury, and it doesn't sound good
Oh boy.
from everything I've read. And then came out with updates. Gronk didn't play this week, but it came out that he has multiple rib cracks and could miss multiple weeks.
Okay.
This is a team going for a championship, so they're not going to rush anybody back.
Yeah, and
So
they have some
your sell
depth.
high window's over.
So that's what I kind of actually wanted to bring up with the Gronk thing. We can talk
Mhm.
about it here real quick.
Okay.
So they have two other decent, pretty good tight ends, talented tight ends on the roster now that are going to get more snaps. If you were going to
Okay.
pick one of them up, would you go with Cameron Brate or would you go with OJ Howard?
I mean, I remember last year Tom Brady was talking about Cameron Brate a lot, but the more talent is OJ Howard.
But OJ Howard is still kind of getting over that injury. And
I'd
he's
go
been
Brate then just because Tom Brady talked him up before he got hurt last year.
right.
Like, he was very high on him.
Yeah,
But,
so I'm leaning more toward Brate, but
yeah.
Howard's a nice little. If you have the ability, he could be a great handcuff to just hold on to until he
Mhm.
starts going off. Because I'm sure it'll
But,
eventually happen.
but we've already, just in the tight ends that went off this week, I think there's better options.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just putting it out there.
For sure. Now we're going to switch over to busts of the week. And are these going to turn to buy low candidates? And we'll also go over some other buy lows.
Okay.
Haven't named this segment yet, so give us some options.
Busts of the week
Oh
and
my
buy low
gosh.
candidates.
Yeah, no, we'll need a shorter, more wittier little intro there. But George Kittle has not had his breakout week yet. Now there's going to be a potential change at QB. But this game, he did look very athletic on the field, and he missed a couple of big plays, but that would have made this his breakout week.
Mm-hmm.
Would you buy him low? Drafted as the number 3 tight end?
I definitely would, if somebody's willing to give him up.
Yeah, not to get too into my own trades, but I am offering him in a package to try to get a bigger piece. So I'm not buying him low. I'm actually using him for something else. A lot of people believe in the name though, so
Right.
I still feel like he's a buy low though because of how he's produced. I mean, he's a number 9 tight end.
And that's still good for not doing so much yet.
But that's not even taking into account the points from all the guys this week yet, because they
So
wait till after Monday night. So he
he,
could be further back.
he might be further back. Yeah, you're right.
We'll see. He did all right though.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely try to buy low if you don't have a top tier tight end. You know, you're just grabbing Dawson Knox. That you could include Dawson Knox in the trade. You know,
Right.
I think it's still worth it. CeeDee Lamb had his first real bad game. Probably just I put him on here just because it's probably the only buy low window. So
Yeah. I still think Carolina, they gave up a lot of points, but they tried their best to take away some of the weapons. But they just couldn't stop everybody. But they did a good job. Carolina has a very good secondary. So
mhm.
I just think that this week is just, they ran into a pretty good defense and they were still able to score a bunch of points. So not too
Mhm.
worried about CD Lamb. But this is going to be your opportunity to try and buy him low because there's
Yeah,
going to be plenty of good weeks with him.
what kind of package would you put together for him? Just off the cuff.
So if I was trying to acquire CD Lamb right now, I would probably maybe try to include a
Mhm.
running back.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody always likes more running backs. So, maybe I would do.
Would you what about Cordero Patterson, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you could try that because he's the number 3 running back so far, and that might be something that could work.
Yeah, maybe and just because it's not as big of a name, you might have to include somebody else, but just sell high off of some guys going off for this buy low candidate, you know?
Right.
See if you can get them. Just get a top tier guy. Rest of the way, especially if you're weak at wide receiver. You know, it's all about evaluating what positions you're weak at, but
Right.
this is what you need. I think he's the biggest name to buy low. We'll go over some more here in a bit, but see if you can put something together. Miles Sanders, is he a bust for the season?
I wouldn't go that far just yet
Okay.
because I think Philly has all the makings for having a good run game, and I think that he's gonna keep getting more involved.
For sure. It's always a little concerning to me when it's like another guy that they've talked up for a couple years and he never really put it together yet. And then this rookie, Gainwell, who we'll also talk about more later, is just looking really solid when he's getting an opportunity. So, but I did put Miles Sanders in buy low just because he is a higher drafted running back.
Hmm.
And like Zach said, he's got the potential.
Yeah, but at some point, you got to be like, if you're losing because he's not doing great every week, you got to maybe
Hmm.
reevaluate. But I
Yeah,
think it's
I
a little
just
early to give up on anybody just yet, unless they're doing so awful.
for sure. So yeah, we'll keep him in buy low for now, but he could be a droppable in a couple weeks if he doesn't pick it up. You know.
Could be, man.
I put Travis Kelsey on here just because this week is his first bad week in like a couple years, but you can't
I
really buy him low.
No,
Still a must start.
that's not gonna happen. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
notable
just put
though.
him on here as a bust because it could have lost you your week.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, I'm still gonna stay on the horse of buy low. You know, I'll die here.
Okay.
Chicago looked improved, only 200 passing yards,
That's
but they're just
the
gonna get better.
that's the best looking only 200-yard game I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, obviously, we just talked about.
There was a lot of nice like wow throws that were made by.
Yeah, they were going through David Montgomery, so there would have been more yards if Montgomery wasn't going off.
Yeah, they were starting to in the second half before he got hurt. They were starting to get that play action going, man. I think that definitely brought the game plan to a halt when
And
he went
now,
down.
speaking of that, just how the offense has to move forward. They lose their star running back for could be like you said 4 weeks minimum,
Yeah.
a month. So they're gonna have to pass more.
They're
I
gonna
think
have to
Allen
pass more.
Robinson is still the dude.
Damian Williams is now a must add.
Yeah, we'll hit him for sure.
Okay.
but I'm still going to stay with A-Rob. I know Mooney looked amazing, so obviously you want him as well.
Does Chicago do they hit up the RA clinic and put out a feeler for Todd Gurley?
Oh my gosh, I was actually wondering if you were going to
Are
say
they
that.
gonna wheel him into Soldier Field?
Oh, they might, dude, because Damian Williams it does have an injury right now. It's not believed to be major, but
Yeah, I'm
then the only
actually
other running back is the
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 rookie.
rookie
Yeah, Khalil
from the
Herbert.
sixth round.
Well, a lot of
Yeah,
people are pretty high
fifth
on
or
him
sixth.
as like a deep, deep, deep sleeper. They think that
Okay,
eventually he can be a very solid number two behind Montgomery.
for sure. All right, man. And then Dalvin Cook uh, had a bad week coming back from injury. I mean, is he still hurt? What's going on
He's
here?
probably still hurt. I think I would give this another week or two to see how he does after,
Okay.
dealing with an
Would you
injury. He
just a bust week? Nobody's probably going to trade him.
Running backs take a lot of punishment, so I'm sure he's just taking it, getting his feet wet, coming back from an injury.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton, we've talked about him already as a potential buy low. At one point, we thought it was closed, the window, but now it's kind of back open after 2 weeks of mediocre play.
Yeah,
But he's got the talent.
talent
He's
is
got the
there,
talent.
and
This is a wide receiver who might cost you less than A Rob or CD Lamb.
even if
You
Teddy
know,
Bridgewater is going to miss a game or two, he still has great chemistry with the backup, Drew Lock. He had a
yep,
he had a 1,400-yard season with Drew Lock throwing to him, so it's not like his value is going to go down at all based on the quarterback.
definitely.
So this is
Yeah, the
definitely a
more you
chance to
think
buy
about it,
low.
yeah, this could be it. Might be your only chance. So most people aren't going to give up CD. People might still not give up Allen Robinson. So Sutton might be your biggest wide receiver you're able to actually trade
I th-
for.
I think so, just because Cortland Sutton is most likely a team's third receiver, so he might be the best buy low candidate of this whole little grouping here.
For sure. Zach Moss, I'm getting pretty high on him. I think he's a buy low. He's looking good every week.
He's starting to maybe overtake Singletary for more snaps.
I really think he is. He's getting TDs.
And
I was able to actually grab him in a couple leagues because he was only like 68%
he's
owned or
he's
something like that.
he's an underrated pass catcher. You don't really hear anybody talk about that, but he's caught a couple nice balls.
Yeah, and also it's this high octane offense, so even if he only takes over Singletary for like a 60-40 split, it's still a lot of offense going on.
Yeah, I
So I'm
agree.
pretty high on him. If you don't have depth at running back, this is the guy.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah, him and Sutton are like the deals, or they're not huge names, yet for
right.
buy
I
lows.
think that those two are perfect. Maybe the best buy low of this whole group.
Chris Carson, I put him on here just because he had a dud,
Yeah,
and people are already starting to spread rumors of injury or something. Because it's like he plays through injuries, but you can tell sometimes, and that's why he does bad.
and then Alex
His
Collins looked kind of good too.
his backup,
Yeah,
yeah, he did. So,
I
but
thought I
I would
don't.
still try to buy low on Carson. The Seattle's offense has not played up to its potential. They are struggling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Uh, I mean, they did pull out the win this week. It was just going over the past month. It's kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
they could just be better than this. Not that anyone would give him up, but I was actually able to make a trade for Chris Carson a couple weeks ago. So
Oh, that's wow. Nice job.
yeah, you saw
Yeah, I did.
it. Kyle Pitts. This might be another tight end uh, with the small window to buy low because he has not scored a touchdown yet. But I put him on here because their offense looks like it's finally getting it together. Um,
Yeah,
Washington Washington was supposed to potentially shut them down just because they've been playing bad, and Washington's defense was supposed to be better than it is.
yeah.
But they still scored 30 points. They lost, but
Definitely
I
the
think
best
it's
best performance of their offense so far. And Kyle Pitts is, still getting snaps and targets, so he definitely could be a good buy
yeah.
low.
And I think two of Cordero Patterson's touchdowns were pass catches. Am I right?
Yeah,
Or was it one?
I think two of
I
them.
mean, it's not going to be, not all the TD passes are going to go to Cordero Patterson every week. So Pitts is definitely lining up for some here soon.
Yes, I agree.
So if you can somehow swing a trade for him, like we said, some of those breakout tight ends from this week that you grab, you could package in a deal, maybe a lower tier wide receiver, especially if you need tight end. This is a bigger guy who could finish top three potentially.
Hmm.
Another big buy low, kind of like CeeDee Lamb, is Alvin Kamara. Kamara, he has not played super well yet. Up to first top 5 draft pick play. And the Saints offense is looking a little rough. So even with that being said, I think you could get a steal out of this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that has Kamara though, because he's still. It's not like he hasn't been terrible. He's still been pretty decent so far.
No. Yeah, but he hasn't been going off.
He hasn't been going off, but he's still getting some touchdowns. And I mean, I think they're just figuring it out. But I'm still not sure that you're. It's going to be hard to get Kamara. It's going to be
For
really,
sure. I
really
agree.
hard to
I
get him.
agree. You'd have to be a big package,
Yeah,
just big names going after the bigger fish.
yeah,
Justin Fields, a lot of people did draft him, at least in a lot of our leagues because we are from Chicago.
yeah.
But he hasn't gone off yet. We've seen that cannon of an arm. I think he's a buy low.
Definitely a buy low. He looked great the other day with only 200 yards. But I mean, if you watch the game, some of those throws he made were next level throws that I haven't seen a Bears quarterback make.
Perfect spirals. It looked like he was super easy for him to throw deep, just casual.
Yeah, there were some nice, pretty balls for sure.
And we just did go over though other QBs that are available just off of the waiver, so maybe it's not this week you try to trade for him and give up pieces to get a QB, but I don't know, man. Once he does have that breakout game, it's over.
Yeah,
So what how much would you give up for Justin Fields? What would it
right
take?
now I probably wouldn't give
Yeah.
up anything for Fields because
Really?
you most likely have one or two quarterbacks that, like, at least in my situation, in all my leagues that I'm in, I have two quarterbacks that I still would rather have over Fields as a rookie.
Yeah, would you have take Trey Lance over him?
Um, Possibly because I think the 49ers offense is way better than the Bears offense.
Yeah. Yeah, Trey Lance would be a big grab this week. Fields is probably available in a couple of our leagues. So could be just a guy you grab if he's available in your league.
Yeah.
All right, man. So went over bust and buy lows. Let's go over sell high players and droppable players.
Okay.
So Cordero Patterson for me is the biggest sell high. There's just no way. I just can't see him keeping this up, man. I mean, it could be just like that
Yeah.
diamond in the rough year. It could
No.
be, but
No, I'm with you 100%. I think he's definitely a sell high. Like you could pick him up and then immediately turn around and try and trade him.
exactly. Or like you said, you already have him. I think most of my leagues he might actually be owned, but man, I'm gonna try to trade him. I got him in my $100 buy-in league. I'm gonna try to trade him in
Oh
just to make a
yeah.
big move. It's just he's 30 years old. He's in an offense that finally had their first good week, but he's not gonna have a 3 touchdown week like this the rest of the year, guaranteed.
That's bold statements coming from Jake today.
But who has 3 touchdown games? Come on.
Yeah, no, that's probably unlikely.
So therefore, he'll never score 31 fantasy points again. He'll be if he still has some good games, they'll be like 20.
Right. This is the prime time to sell high on him.
Who could you get? Could you package him for a Zeke or a Saquon?
I
I
don't.
don't know.
I'm not. I don't know about
Probably
that.
not Saquon. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe
So
not. But
how high of a running back could you trade up for? Maybe Chris Carson? Would
I'm
you trade him?
wondering if maybe you could do that to get a Chris Carson. That might be a good one. Yeah.
Would you want to do that, or would you ride the high?
I
That's
think
the
I would do that.
for sure. I love Chris Carson. Also, the Kansas City running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Would you go for him?
That would be a good one too. I think you could maybe go after him. You got to go after those like mid-tier running backs. Maybe you could even get a Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he's actually. Uh, I thought I had him on here for a sell high, but yeah, we'll add him. Let's just go over him as well. So, Cordero Patterson, if you guys have trade ideas, just put them in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, and then we'll go into this running back. I think Jonathan Taylor had his first big game, but the Colts are still very much a question mark.
Yeah,
Would you try to sell him high just for? I mean, would he be another guy you try to get Chris Carson or Clyde Edwards?
I think Jonathan Taylor is a nice sell high right now.
For sure. Or you go for your wide receiver.
Yeah.
Somebody needs a running back. Just look at all these teams and their depth and see if they're a good trade partner for your team.
Yes.
But I don't know if I could think of a specific package right now. Tyler Boyd. I think he's one of the biggest wide receiver sell highs because he took over the number 2 spot because T. Higgins is out. So he's been producing, but when T. Higgins is back, I mean, it's over.
Yeah, but Tyler Boyd might be more of a drop for me than a sell
Okay.
high because I'm not sure that anybody's going to be clamoring to get Tyler Boyd, even if he is doing really well. I don't think he has that
Oh
much
yeah, I mean,
name value.
you probably can't trade him for a 1-for-1, but maybe you use him in a 2-for-1.
Okay, yeah, that might be
I
something
just
like
feel
that.
like he's had a couple good weeks. Why not try to see if you can get anything before you drop him?
Yeah,
That's kind of how I see it. Or you're just gonna ride the wave, I guess, if you can't get anything.
yeah,
And that leads into Randall Cobb. Some of the fantasy guys are saying that, oh, now he's just gonna kind of keep it going from here, pick it up. I really don't see it.
no, no, I
And
I think he's just a guy, but
yeah, he's another guy I would try to include in the package. I mean, like you said, he's not a huge name, but he had a good game and he has Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, so people value that.
yeah,
And then AJ Green, another wide receiver, sell high. He's had 2 really good weeks in a row. There's just so many good wide receivers in Arizona.
yeah,
I mean, this is also a guy to grab if you don't have him. But if you already have him, I would try to trade him.
yeah. I
But it's
think
also another small trade guy.
yeah,
James Conner, he's had 2 weeks in a row, 2 touchdowns each game. I think this is the biggest running back sell high for me. What do you think?
definitely a big sell high. Maybe if you can include him and maybe a Tyler Boyd, you can get like a James Robinson possibly. That would be maybe pretty intriguing.
Yeah, that'd be a good deal. Um, you think that's as high as you could go?
I don't know if you could go much higher than that.
For sure. I tend to agree. And I mean, Robinson, that offense is just going to keep getting better because they've been so bad. They're pretty similar to the Bears in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, they can only be better than what they've been.
And then would you sell high on Leonard Fournette?
I would. One good game, but he's on that potent offense.
Yeah,
He's another guy. See this whole list are guys you could package together,
right.
and try to get something. They look good on paper right now, all of them going off
Mhm.
early in the year. Try to target those, like number 10 ranked running backs like James Robinson, that's
Right.
still an upgrade.
Oh yeah.
You're not always going to get like a top tier ranked guy, but you can still keep upgrading your team.
Yeah. Small upgrades.
Yeah, and then the 2 defenses, Rams defense and Cardinals defense.
So I just was looking ahead with the Cardinals' schedule, um, because I picked them up for a while, a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been really liking their production. But I've just decided to start looking ahead at like their schedule, and I just they're so next week they play San Francisco, then they go to Cleveland, and then they play Houston week 7. I think that might be a week that they look good. And then after that they play Green Bay, San Francisco, Carolina, Seattle. I mean, that's just I see one I see one good week out of the next like 7 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, and they don't have a great secondary, right?
Because you look at how great they did those like 2 of the 3 weeks when they played Tennessee and Jacksonville. Those might be the two
Mm-hmm.
worst teams they play the whole season. And those are the times that they went off.
Well, people like Tennessee.
Yeah, but it was also the first week of the season and fluky stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah, week 1 fluke.
So I think Cardinals defense is droppable. And
I would agree. It's just a stream
I
defense
would pick up Chicago Bears defense. But they're about to go into a juggernaut of a schedule too, so maybe they're not the best to pick up to replace them with, but
for sure. What about the Rams defense? They have two of arguably the best defenders in the league, but they have not looked good at all as a unit. I mean, is it just because they're getting into these shootouts?
yeah, they're just getting into these shootouts. I mean, they have played these like they played Tampa Bay and Arizona. Maybe two of the teams that will be like number 1 and 2 on offense at the end of the season. I mean, if you just go ahead and look at their schedule the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like next week Seattle, then the Giants, then Detroit, then Houston, then Tennessee, and then San Francisco. I don't know. I could see them. I think they're still a hold for me. I'd give them the benefit
Okay,
of the doubt more so than the Cardinals.
for sure. Totally agree. It sucks as a person who drafted them, but yeah, I haven't been willing to drop them yet. I've thought about it, but
Yeah,
give them a couple more weeks here. But the Giants, I mean, the Seahawks, like we've said, they should play better on offense, and the Giants are picking it up as well.
right.
So it couldn't be in maybe until the Lions in 3 weeks.
Hmm.
But then they have Lions, Texans, Titans, 49ers. That's not bad.
Yeah,
I'd hold them, but I haven't been playing them. I've been playing other
I would
defenses.
still hold them, and then maybe you picked up a defense like the Carolina defense. Maybe you have Rams and Carolina. You can just play Carolina for the next couple of weeks.
For sure.
So now we're gonna
Yeah.
move on to our scoop 'em up.
Scoop them up.
Scoop 'em up.
My good.
we're workshopping all this stuff. Eventually, we're gonna have like our own sound bites to play.
Oh, scoop them up, Stan.
Yeah, scoop 'em up's
But
gonna
yo,
stay, but we're gonna have a sound
it'll
bite for
sound a
it.
lot better.
We're gonna have a sound
Yeah.
bite.
So number one for me, and this really depends on what position you need, everybody. But number one QB for me is Sam Darnold.
I think I tend to agree because he should already be owned,
We talked about that at the beginning of the episode, but yeah, I looked at the percentages. He's still like 20% owned.
which is a crime.
He's gonna be after this week's performance. He will be a top 5 QB right as of right now,
Yeah,
ranked,
that's crazy sauce.
and he looks amazing.
Yeah,
So
he looks
the
pretty.
the Jets curse is real, I guess.
It really freaking is, man.
And the number 2 QB for me is Trey Lance, just for the upside.
Yeah,
He looked
because he looked pretty in control when he
he
came
scored
in
20 fantasy points in one
in
half.
1.5. Yeah,
So they're just gonna keep doing it, man. And they got a good offensive coordinator and coach.
yeah. There, he's definitely one of the top ads.
Only thing you have to worry about is if Jimmy G comes back sooner than we
He's
thought.
he's definitely one of our top scoops.
right, and then these two tight ends, I kind of have them just right next to each other because it's hard for me to pick between the two.
Hmm.
Dawson Knox and Dalton Schultz.
So the only reason I would say Dawson Knox just a smidgen ahead of Dalton Schultz is
Mm-hmm.
because the Cowboys have another tight end that's pretty decent too in Blake Jarwin. So
Yeah,
it's
but they haven't been using
it's
them.
kind of a split with those guys. Dawson Knox is the clear cut tight end target and on a slightly better offense, I think too. So,
I think they're better than Dallas.
they're pretty similar. Maybe Dallas is actually a little better, but I like the guy that doesn't have competition really. So that's why I would go Dawson Knox as maybe a little more consistent of a player, just a tiny bit, not by a lot, but I would just do that just because he doesn't have another tight end breathing down his shoulder.
Yeah, but I think Schultz took over the number one. I mean, Jarwin hasn't done anything.
I'm I'm just I'm not saying that it's a huge like I'm putting him
No,
ahead.
I know. I'm
Just a
just
nose.
giving you the argument here. I guess it is up to whoever's listening your preference
Yeah, I'm just telling you my preference. So
for sure.
hey, if you want to shit all over it, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the first commenter, Zach. Uh, biggest running back for me is Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders, who we're talking about, is not doing great. Gainwell had another good game this
He's
week.
putting together week after week now, good weeks.
Um, yeah, I think his previous 2 weeks he actually Gainwell came back down to earth, but then the first week he did really good as well. So he's just the talent's there.
Yeah.
So it's just is Philly going to give him more chances, but they will if Miles Sanders doesn't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of the biggest handcuffs to me, just like he's up there now with Alexander Mattinson,
Right. Okay.
like a nice handcuff back, or Tony Pollard
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
for your bench. And then if you want a starter, so these two are kind of also close, I guess. Damian Williams, he has a quad injury, but it's not to believe to be serious. He's going to take over for Montgomery
Yeah,
for
I like
the
him.
foreseeable future.
I like him as a nice depth add this week for sure because he's going to get multiple weeks. Like he might be this week's Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, and Zach actually called him out in our first episode pre-draft, and I kind of gave you shit
Yeah,
for
and
even saying his name.
it's it's fair. It was fair then. He was a very deep sleeper, and I was my Bears fan bias was showing a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I always thought that he would be a nice secondary running back for a team that hasn't really had that in a few years now. So
Yeah, over 4 yards per carry. I mean, he's shown he can fill in that role.
yeah,
So,
and then we have Tariq Cohen coming back in a couple of weeks, but we don't need to talk about him yet.
yeah, he sucks.
Hey Deanna, I
uh,
hope you didn't hear that.
third QB, Taylor Heineke.
You just upset Deanna, by the way.
Oh my gosh, Taylor Heineke over 20 fantasy points three weeks in a row. I mean, most QBs aren't doing that.
Yeah,
I think as long as he's got Terry McLaurin to pass to,
and two running backs that are very good pass catchers too, that are nice, nice little dump off options.
and they're both doing good. Yeah,
Both are doing great. J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson. There's a
yeah.
lot.
So I like
There's a
Heineke a
Yeah.
lot.
There's a lot to like about Heineke and the Washington offense. Which, who the heck would have thought the football team would have a good offense, great offense? But they look like they kind of do.
Yeah, man. And then Dallas Cowboys defense for me.
Yeah.
They
That.
were talked about to be pretty good. They look like they're starting to come to form, and we just talked about a couple defenses that were dropping.
Yeah. The Cowboys are one of my top scoops for this week. I like. I
And
like
they are available.
their defense is. I don't know. Like they were a complete dumpster fire last year, but they look so much better this season. And I don't know if it's the Dak Prescott effect or what. But that Trevon Jake, did you look at the stats? Trayvon Diggs, the second year corner on
I don't.
the Cowboys, He has 5 interceptions now in 4 games.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, they're just getting started, and I know there were a lot of hot defenses in the first couple weeks, but they're going to overtake a couple.
yeah.
I
Trevon
think,
Trevon Diggs is Stephon Diggs's little brother, and
oh my gosh.
apparently he like that's how he's gotten so good. His last like off season, he was like practicing against Stephon Diggs, and Stephon was giving him like tips
Oh, you're
on.
not being sarcastic?
No, I'm not being sarcastic. And
I thought you were making a shitty joke.
Stephon Diggs was giving Trayvon Diggs, his younger brother, like
Yeah.
good tips on how to like jump routes and stuff.
All
So
right, you're really not messing with me.
no, I'm seriously not. This is like
It's
legit.
his little brother. Okay, that's cool.
Yes. You,
That's awesome. No, I thought
all
you were
right. Well,
making this like a
this whole
joke.
story is gonna get edited out.
No, come on. That's awesome. All right.
No, but
And
5 interceptions in 4 games. I mean, he's on pace like for NFL record shit if he keeps this stuff up.
oof, yeah, that'll be hard to keep up, but they could do it. I mean, if they keep pressuring the offense to have to throw quickly, they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Laviska Chenault Jr. Previously, he was a drop just because we talked about the 3 wide receiver share and a bad offense.
Yeah, but now DJ Chark
But
is at least out for 3 weeks.
yeah, with DJ Shark out, Laviska Chenault had a pretty decent game.
He did, and I
And
think he's gonna get better each week.
yeah, and people dropped him in leagues, so he is one of the higher percent owned players out of this whole group. But he's available in like 35% of leagues.
He's worth a go and check.
Yep. Not necessarily trade, but if he's available, he's a wide receiver to grab if you need some wide receiver depth.
Yeah, for sure.
And are there any other players?
Could be a top scoop.
Any other scoop them up?
Scoop them up, baby.
Any other players you have on your mind? These are I think those are the main ones. I don't really have another receiver, even though we only had the one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Miami receiver, but Miami's offense is so rough.
Right.
Oh, I think that's it for me, man. We got a
Well, I don't
good
know. What do you
episode
think?
here.
What do you think about Khalif Raymond or Van Jefferson?
Yeah, I think those are just there's too much talent for the ball to keep spreading around.
Just flash in
least
the
Van
pan.
At least Van Jefferson, I wouldn't grab.
Yeah, I'm
Tell me more about the.
kind of tend to agree.
Tell me about the other guy.
Van Jefferson?
No, the other, not the other one.
Oh, Khalif
Say another
Raymond.
name.
He's on Detroit. Khalif Raymond. We were talking about
Oh,
it a
he's
little
the
bit.
guy next to Cephas.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm.
Yeah, see that one's hard also because he's battling with Cephas to see who's the top dog.
And then lastly, what do you think about Darnell Mooney? He had kind of a little bit of a breakout game.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I guess he's only 40% owned. So like we said, we're in Chicago, so we see a lot of these guys grabbed. But
He looked very good chemistry with Justin Fields.
yep, no, there's your wide receiver to grab next
Yeah.
to Laviska Chenault.
Yeah, go scoop
Mooney,
him up.
man, he's only 40% owned.
He should
Scoop
be
him up.
Yeah, top scoops.
Top scoops.
All right, well, this was a fun episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed. A lot of information
Yeah.
coming at you, but we do our best.
Fast paced. Got
yeah.
all our info. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, take care, everyone. Leave your feedback and questions in the comments, and yeah, let's do that football.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.